Hey guys, it's Lego Maestro here and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Alert, and this one is a huge Hypixel story that nobody knows about. This story includes potentially corrupt Hypixel staff, ratting people's computers through Hypixel housing, a huge housing bandwave that has taken place over the past month, and get this, garden gnomes were used to protect players from getting wiped, and I even reached out to Simon Hypixel for a statement. All that and more in this episode, so without further ado, let us jump right in. Now, you heard me correct, this story is coming from Hypixel housing. Now, housing is like the most peaceful place on Hypixel. They have like parkour plots, and I think they have, what else, 1v1 plots, and that's it. They're peaceful, nothing ever happens in housing. Well, that was until last month. Now, to give you guys a little bit of context to this story, let me explain to you what ratting is. R-A-T-T-I-N-G, ratting. Now, ratting is where somebody can put a program on your computer that gives them access to it. So for example, if you go to like a fishy website and they put a rat on your computer secretly, that allows the hacker to then control your computer, like let's say when you go to sleep, and get all your bank information, your credit card info, like all of your private info they can get while you're asleep through access of your computer. Now, how does this relate to the story? Well, players have found a way to get unsuspecting Hypixel players and put rats on their computer. And the method? Hypixel housing. Now, housing, for those that don't know, has the ability to put a join message. So when you join housing, there's a way for you to see their in-game message. Well, in this message, you're allowed to put links. And people have found a way to abuse the system by putting fake links in their message. For example, here's an image you can see of a fake website, and it looks like, they won MVP++, and the link looks legitimate, so people will go to it. But when the players type in that link, it will put a rat on their computer, which the person who made the Hypixel plot can then access when they go to sleep. Get all their credit card info, you know the drill. Well, once this hit Hypixel staff, they did not like it. Not one bit. What ensued afterwards was a huge bandwave across the entire housing community, which affected every single player with a link. Now this is where things get dicey, because at first it seems like you would just ban the people who had these fake links. But Hypixel, they're very thorough. They would rather just throw out the links altogether than have a few bad apples. Well, they did that by getting rid of all the housing plots with links. Basically, every single Hypixel housing plot with a link in its join message got wiped. And not just that, the players whose housing plot it is got banned. Literally banned. Players who could have had nothing to do with this entire situation had their housing plots wiped and themselves banned from the server. Now, these bans ranged from a week up to an entire year. Literally could have been innocent players here getting banned. Now, a lot of players made forum posts about this, and the main theme they have in common is that none of them knew why they got banned. One of the forum posts you can see specifically says, "Do not advertise your Discord," thinking it must be the Discord that's the problem. But in reality, it's the fact that they had a link in their join message. So this, of course, was a huge problem, and again, this took place over the last month. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Supposedly, there was a corrupt staff member involved who was taking out a vendetta against some of these players, so ones who were not involved in the situation may have gotten banned because of it. Now, I say this as allegedly because this story comes from two players known as Ran and Yousef. Now, these players brought this story to my attention with a lot of proof. And one of the claims that these two players make is that a corrupt staff member was involved. But here's where things get even more interesting. Some players who had links on their housing plot did not get wiped or banned. How? Using garden gnomes. Here's a screenshot you can see of one of these garden gnomes on a player's plot, and allegedly, players who had garden gnomes on their property, even with links in their housing plot, did not get wiped or banned. So supposedly, it's like if a corrupt staff member went to their plot but saw the garden gnome, they knew that they were like in their secret club or whatever and didn't wipe or ban them. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Now these garden gnomes, they could have been big or small, public or hidden, but regardless, they were on the plot. So you guys, to end off this story before we get into our interview, I reached out to Simon Hypixel about this story, you know, the owner of the server. Well, apparently, he did not have a statement on the situation. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to get into the interview that I did with Ran and Yousef, two players involved in the situation, and they have a lot of juicy info. So without further ado, here it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Ran and Yousef, two players who were involved in the situation. So introduce yourselves. Who is Ran and who is Yousef?
So I'm Yousef. I'm like, I'm not really part of the housing community, you can say, but I'm like, I used to. So then I still have like these links with people, but it's just kind of crazy what happened. So obviously I just want to come back and let the audience know what exactly is going on.
So yeah, basically I was in the community for a bit, and then I was told about what happened, and then I realized I was banned as well. Yeah, so I'm not that involved, but I was banned, which I found pretty weird. Because I was banned without warning and all that, you know.
Yeah, the thing about it is that the rule was very discreet. Like it was very hidden in a way. Like no one knew about it. So then that's why it was really really random for the community when like a whole load of people were just banned randomly, honestly. And then, like we said, like some people got away with it, which is a bit weird. But we'll get into that later.
Now, my theory is maybe the people who got a year ban possibly are the ones who actually had like rats on their housing property, or are you believing that those are false bans as well?
I think it could be maybe those like there's a little bit of personal things in between for those with a year. But then again, I have no knowledge of that. But again, they could be threatened or something like that. We can really never be sure. But again, even if it is the same thing they're all committing here, like the same offense, they all should really be getting the same punishment. That's why it's a bit weird. And that's why we have reason to believe like there's corrupt staff involved in this.
Now, tell me more about that. What exactly do you mean by corrupt staff?
So we had this player. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to really get involved that much. But the people in the housing community will know a person in the name of Homie James. And this guy, like, he usually, like, typically used to say stuff like, oh, I know so many stuff. He shows friend lists every now and then, but that's all those like friend list messages have been deleted. Like we've been trying to scavenge them and we can't find them. So that makes us more believing that he is part of this. So that's why we think, but I'm not going to say his name again because like I said, I don't want to get involved. But people in the housing community will know someone called the Homie James. So they would probably know what I'm talking about now. But again, don't really want to get too involved. I don't want to have any, you know, drama with them. So I'll just leave it at that. But they usually, and to add to that, their housing didn't get wiped and they had the Discord message, like the /Discord. So that's that made me like 99% sure, almost 100%, honestly.
Now, Ran, you got banned for 7 days. Did you have any warning before you got banned to remove your link on your property?
No. So it was just like an instant ban.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like years and months of worth of work are like gone just like that, and it's totally unfair because some people like didn't even get punished at all. Like I've heard a lot of the housing members. They've been saying stuff like, I couldn't care less about like even a year's ban, but you're getting rid of my builds and all my work that I've done, you know, throughout the years, and it's kind of annoying. You know, you've built communities with it, and yeah, that's like another reason why we think there's corrupt staff as well because. Like, it's just, why would you get rid of, like, a ban's one thing. You don't need to get rid of their whole housing. You just get rid of the command. It's as simple as that. So that's why it's like, it's so weird the way people are banned, honestly.
And so, Brand, when you say that your housing was wiped, did you have multiple plots or did only one housing get wiped? Like,
so like I had 5 plots, yeah. Like all 5 got wiped.
And like to add to that, we've noticed that we did some investigating because this happened like almost a month ago it's happened. So we've done some investigating and we've noticed like these little like garden gnomes kind of things. You know, have you seen them garden gnome builds in like Minecraft?
I think
They're
I've
quite
heard of
good,
them.
aren't they? Yeah. So apparently some players like they use the garden gnomes to show that like the staff not to ban them. I don't know. I'm like 99% sure this is true because literally every plot that hasn't been wiped literally has this like garden gnome, like somewhere in the base, like whether like at the front, hidden or whatever, it's there. And like I'd like to like mention as well, like within this controversy, like within the start of the like this thing, they started talking about a mod. Like at the start, I thought the mod was like you know like a Minecraft mod. You put in like your folders and that. But I have reason to believe like they called it like let me just check here. SAT SAT. Yeah, they called it like SAT, and they called it like the beast mod. It's like I think they're talking about a staff member, and maybe like if you know any staff members that have like the acronyms SAT SAT, I do believe they're involved for sure because that name, that acronym was passed around quite a bit.
So this is a whole conspiracy. There's a lot more going on here.
Oh, for sure. I think it's more than just housing, for sure. I think housing was just used as like an excuse within like the community. So then they could use that as like, oh, I want you to get banned. So then they probably did a lot of research on how we can get these players banned, and then they just noticed like a slash Discord message, which I've literally that has been on the server since housing was like a thing almost. So it makes no sense to just randomly one day just get rid of, like not even get rid of, like without warning. Like this is unheard of. Like without warning, ban like tens of hundreds of people.
Why do you think these specific players were targeted? What did they have in common?
I'm not sure, but like there's some people like you can pick them out. Like there's this guy, I can't remember his specific IGN, but it was like It's Yoga or something like that. And he had like this log tapping simulator. And like the homie James guy, he like also had something similar. So he used to say stuff like, "Oh, you copied me" and stuff like that. And that guy was like one of the first person to get banned. So like we definitely think there's something personal between the homie James guy with the other people. So I do think maybe I don't know if I could get some messages with these guys and think if there's like if they're being threatened or something, it could be a possibility. But I think mainly it's just probably some immature person that's just trying to get some revenge.
Now, I have a personal theory on this. I think maybe the staff member that's going after these players, or homie James, you know, both are involved. Perhaps they're going after the housing plots and not necessarily the players, because the players' bans were from a week to a year, and a week ban is not very long. But the fact their housing plots all got wiped, that's permanent.
Yeah, that's 100% in my opinion. Like I said, most of these players are like they couldn't care less about a ban. Like it's just like you said, it's temporary. So why should they care about? But what they care about so much is their work, because this is insane. This is like years of work on Hypixel as well. It puts like Hypixel in a bad image as well. Thinking, oh, if you grind on this server for like a year, it just gets removed in 1 second. So this is very like it really demotivates a player to play Hypixel. So that's why we're thinking like it's a corrupt staff, because why would Hypixel do that to their players? Why would they ban so many players and get rid of so much years worth of work over like nothing, basically, over something that hasn't really been spoken about?
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here. This is quite a story.
Thank you so much for having us on as well. It's a pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much for coming on. Until next time, I've been Lego Maestro. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.